Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter, and today I'm going to show you how to make some ombre die cuts using this Hero Arts Stamp and Cut. My friend asked me to make her some thank you cards, and so I'm making a card with mass production in mind, something that you could make over and over again very easy. So I'm starting out and I'm going to create a watercolor background, and I'm using the Kuretake Gansai Tombi watercolors. This is the 36 set, and if I said that wrong, I sincerely apologize. My Spanish is much better than my Japanese. So I'm starting out with this pool color and I'm just kind of laying down a base of that, and then I'm going to hop over to this darker blue and add a little bit more blue to that because it was a really green blue and I wanted to add a little bit more blue to that. And so I'm just tapping in that darker color as well. And then I'm just kind of going around the edges and tapping some of those edges out with my smaller brush and that sort of thing. When I get this color all kind of blended the way that I want, it's probably best to let this air dry, but I'm going to hit it with my heat tool because I got to move along. I'm running behind today and I got to get these cards done. So once I got that kind of dried mostly, I'm going to take this on the diagonal stencil. This is from My Favorite Things. I'm going to lay it over the top, and I'm going to take a fresh, wet baby wipe, and I am going to dab away some of the color that I just laid down. I know, kind of seems a little counterproductive there, but I thought this watercolor background really needed a little bit of texture on it. So you can see that when I lift up my stencil there, I have just a faint texture on that watercolor background, and then I'm going to lay that aside to dry. So now I have my thanks die cut. This is from the Hero Arts Stamp and Cut thanks set, and I'm going to create a whole bunch of these thanks die cuts all at once. And so I'm starting with that first one, and I cut it, and I'm going to cut several of these in a line so that when I go to color these with my Copic markers, it makes it that much easier to create my ombre effect. So once I got about 4 or 5 of those cut, in a line down that piece of Nina Solar White cardstock, I'm going to lift this off and I'm going to leave the die cuts in the paper. And while I have my die cut machine out, I'm going to use my this is a pierced circle from My Favorite Things, and cut a little circle. Now I left part of it hanging off because I was going to cut it off anyway, so I just did it while I was there so I don't have to go back and cut that circle again. And now I'm putting this vellum circle into this We Are Memory Keepers embossing folder, and this is a dot embossing folder, and you can see I had to change my platform there to emboss. I can't use the magnetic one to emboss, but then I just ran it through my die cut machine and I have a nice vellum embossed circle. So now I'm going to lay down this ombre effect, and I'm using Copic markers for this. I'm using BG11, BG13, and BG49, and I'm starting out with my lightest color and just scribbling all over the left edge of those thanks die cuts. And you can see why I cut these in a line, because then I can just scribble one section all down that piece of paper, and it's hitting about at the same place on all of those die cuts. So once I did that line of the lightest color, I'm going in with my medium color, which is my BG13, and scribbling a little bit over that towards the middle. And then finally the BG49 will go on the right edge of those die cuts. Now once I get those 3 colors laid down, I'm going to go back with the medium color, and I'm just going to kind of scribble over the part where the darkest color and the medium color overlap, just to kind of blend those in, and so I don't have that really harsh edge. And then I'm going to take my lightest color marker and go over the part where the medium and the light color overlap, just to kind of blend that out. So you can see that this is really quick and easy. It's not anything that I took a whole lot of time to do. And I have a really nice ombre effect. It looks like a hot mess right now, but when I pop them out, trust me, they look good. And then I went over all of those with my Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen to add a little shimmer to those. So now that I have my die cuts ready to go, I'm going to bring back in my vellum embossed circle here, and I'm going to stamp the You Are Amazing sentiment just to kind of complete that sentiment on the bottom of that vellum circle. And that stamp is from the same Stamp and Cuts set that I used earlier to make my dies or my die cuts as well. And I've just trimmed down a little piece of gold glitter cardstock to put on there just to add some shimmer and shine. And I'm attaching those both to the vellum circle with just a little tape runner adhesive, and I'm just putting those onto the circle. So now that I have that little element grouping ready to go, I'm going to add just a little bit more gold in, and I'm using this DMC gold floss, and I just took off a long segment and I kind of overlapped it to where I had 2 threads, and I tied a big fat loopy bow. And I'm going to press this on to some glue dots here. These are some Zot's bling glue dots. They're like these really tiny, they're made for rhinestones and stuff. I never use them for that. But I just press that on there so I have a little bit of glue dot on there, and then I push that onto the back so it'll kind of peek out and kind of burst out from the back of my vellum circle. Now when I put that vellum circle over, there wasn't quite enough of that texture showing, and so I'm just taking a little frost white pigment ink from Colorbox. I put that stencil back over and use my finger to add a little bit more of that texture up to the upper right hand side. And then I attached my little element grouping there with a little foam adhesive onto that watercolor piece. Now, in order to attach this to my card front or my card base, I'm going to use a little fun foam. This is just the white fun foam, and I'm just cutting a piece that's slightly smaller than the card front that I've created. And you can see when I cut it with my trimmer, I can just rip it apart and it works really well. And then I'll attach that to the back of my card front using just some regular tape runner adhesive. Now I decided that this was a little plain. I'm going to put this on a white card front, and I decided I wanted to bring in a little bit more of the blue. So I just took a little strip of this pattern paper. This is from the Chamille 6x6 paper pad by American Crafts, and I'm just attaching that over to the left side of that card base. That's a Nina Solar White card base. It's cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2 to create a top folding card. And then I just attached my card front right over the top. And then I decided I didn't like that white part showing on the edge, so I cut it off and I completely ruined the card. So don't do that. But I was able to do a little card surgery and fix it. Now I wanted to bring in the black element again, so I'm just taking this soot, black, is it called black soot distress ink? I can't remember, but I'll link it below. And I'm just taking my little aqua painter and just adding a little water to that and flicking it onto my card front. I saw my friend Julie Ebersole do this, and I thought I would give it a try. Just make sure you cover up your thanks die cut. Just ask me how I know. I may have ruined that and had to replace it. And once I got all my splatters just perfect, I rounded that bottom right-hand corner, and that completed my card. Of course, I had to fuss with the thread a little bit more just to get it perfect, and I may have slipped another glue dot behind there just to keep it in the perfect place. I did add a few black sequins from Pretty Pink Posh because I did smudge some of my ink splatters there, but that completes my card for today. I also made this version. It is the same element grouping, but I just stuck it onto a simple lawn fawn pattern card there to complete my card. As always, I've linked all the products used in these projects in the description at YouTube, as well as over at my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com, where you can find even more information. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope you have a fabulous day.